Senator Cassidy.
Thank you. Hello, sir. I'm going to speak to you and give kind of a long prologue just to create context. But it's context you know, but it's just context that we have to have get your thoughts. I'm concerned about Social Security and Medicare. Clearly, we have to preserve the benefits for those who have been promised these benefits, but the actuaries tell us that both funds are in incredible duress. If we do nothing, the benefits must be cut significantly. And this isn't something kind of on the by and by. Medicare goes bankrupt within 8 years. Social Security goes bankrupt in 2034, but I'm told if we're to address it, we must address it now because that window is rapidly closing, again, for context. And some say, because we don't look at the 10-year window, we look at the 75-year window for social, that is not as bad. But as was explained to me quite convincingly, it isn't just that we get through 75 years and we're okay. Rather, we have to have a balance at the end of that 75 years that can continue to pay benefits beyond. And I think that fact is often ignored. So we have to have the till full, if you will. It has to have an actuarial balance. So that said, what thoughts do you have about the correct methodology and data as we look at policy options to preserve these benefits? And what other thoughts do you have as to how we preserve these programs? Because I do think that is something that you will be directly involved with in this position.
Thank you, Senator. You're absolutely correct that the changing demographics in this nation are creating some long-term stability concerns for Social Security and for Medicare. And the sooner that we address those challenges, the more flexibility that we have in retaining the promise that's been made to our seniors. So what we can offer at the Office of Economic Policy is there are a number of proposals in the academic community and a number of models that have been utilized in order to estimate what the 10-year and 75-year implications are as we consider modifications.
Now, what in those academic literature, what are the options as to what we can do to not just get through the 10 window or the 75-year window, but actually to leave our descendants in better shape?
Essentially, to bring them into perpetual balance, we need to have, over the entire life of the program, greater equality between the current revenue stream and the current benefits that are being offered.
And what would be the, obviously one option would be to either cut benefits and or raise the payroll tax. Are there other options aside from that?
Yes, so there's also changing eligibility in terms of when benefits begin or the generosity of the benefits.
Now, do I understand that European nations have grandfathered in, if you will, changes in eligibility?
Generally speaking, the changes in eligibility are brought in over time, much as we over time have been raising the retirement age in Social Security from 65 to 67.
Now, Medicare, I have a white paper, Making Healthcare Affordable, again on my website, and our goal is to make Medicare more sustainable by lowering the cost of healthcare. Is there an academic literature on what greater decrease in the cost of healthcare would be required to make Medicare more sustainable? Because that's the one that is empty in 8 years.
Right. So the more immediate concern, as you indicated, is Medicare. There are models out there that would allow us to estimate what kind of decrease in medical inflation that we would have to realize in order to bring that program into actuarial balance.
Now, there has been a little bit of a decrease in medical inflation over, last, I think, beginning in 2007. I saw that there's a downward inflection. So, but clearly that has not been sufficient to push significantly out Medicare's bankruptcy. Do you have, off the top of your head, a sense of what we would have to do to healthcare cost? Or to Medicare payments for healthcare costs to further lower?
I don't have the specific number, but I'd be happy to get that back to you.
And then lastly, there's a couple aspects to healthcare. It is the volume. Mm-hmm. It is the price per unit, but also the number of units, correct? And the makeup of the units themselves. You can have a lower price, but if it's of a more intense unit, then it's going to cost more.
Right.
Any thoughts how all that factors in beyond saying that that is part of it?
Well, and so there are some interesting experiments across various states about modifying the fee-for-service model in order to reduce quantities.
Now, I don't have a sense that the ACOs have actually significantly lowered cost, and indeed, to the degree that they've contributed to Collins' consolidation of healthcare systems, and there is data showing that once you have a kind of consolidated healthcare system, on average, costs are up about 12%. So, again, any thoughts upon that statement, either debunk or disagree or to agree?
So if confirmed, I certainly will spend more time familiarizing myself with some of the latest research coming out about ACOs. As I mentioned before, I've been associate dean for the last year and a half, more worried about my MBAs, but I will certainly provide you with an assessment of the literature on how those ACOs are doing.
That was a nice sidestep, but thank you very much. I yield back.